Well, a couple of weeks ago I promised that I'd show you some footage from Dam Flask Reservoir. I was actually heading up there with Mark from Rotherham, just on a bit of a coaching session, just to go through some casting techniques and that sort of stuff. So I promised to show you how it had fished, so here's just a quick clip to show you how it went. How about this for stunning scenery? Absolutely beautiful. Dam Flask Reservoir. That way is just going up to the neck end. Been 1 or 2 fish topping. Mark's here as promised. I said we'd come up and just let you know how it's fishing. It's fished absolutely brilliant. We're still here now. We've got another 2 or 3 hours left yet. Find 1 or 2 things out with his cast, and he's really pleased with that now. And he's getting bites. He's going to bite nearly every chuck now. Fishing at 45 metres. Cage feeder. Pro natural bream. That's all he's using. Single and double dead red maggot. And he's getting loads of bites. He's had some skimmers up to just over £1, and I'll show you a couple of clips from that. But yeah, for everyone in the Sheffield area, it's fishing really well. I mean, and what a stunning location. I mean, look at this, absolutely fantastic. Well, Mark's getting a few now. He's shortened his hook length down now to about, I don't know, 50-60 centimetres, which is shorter than it was, and he's catching some fish. A single maggot. Look at that. And wild fish. Look at that. Look at the scenery. Absolutely beautiful. Just pro natural bream. That's all he's using. 100% mix. Mixed a little bit over wet. Fishing in about, how many seconds is it taking for the feeder to land? About what? 6 seconds. Beautiful fish. And he's got it to himself. Look at this. He's made it. He's made it. He's got his own venue. Mark did brilliant. It was great how he stuck with what he actually went there to do. He didn't get bogged down with just trying to catch as many fish as he could. He actually just used the whole session just to get right the things that he'd gone there to do. And thankfully he caught some fish along the way as well. It fished really well. He had a bite almost every cast. And you know, in beautiful surroundings like that, you can see why it's such an attractive venue. So if you're watching, Mark, well done, mate, and it was great to see you at Barston last week, and massive congratulations, because I know you went on to qualify for the UK champs at Barston as well a couple of weeks after that session. So top job, mate. Well, I know a lot of you out there are pretty eagle-eyed. I even bumped into somebody at the weekend who's booked onto a festival that he didn't even know existed. I'd not mentioned it, but he'd actually spotted it on that wall planner there. So hopefully some of you guys out there with fisheries and that are running events are appreciating this bit of exposure. I know a lot of you are pretty eagle-eyed, so you've probably spotted that there's no Matrix logo up there. That's not because it fell down in the last vlog. It's because most of the questions I've been asked this week have been about the Feeder Masters qualifier at Barston Lakes last weekend. I know I saw some of you there, and it was great to see you. Thanks for coming over and saying hello and all the kind messages. So what I'm going to do is, rather than just answer the questions point blank, what I'm going to do is actually quickly talk you through my version of the match. Okay, right, I've no idea how this is going to turn out, but I'm just going to throw myself into it and hopefully get across to you how my match went and what my perception was of what was happening around me through that match. Okay, so Barston Lakes. I'm only going to draw our end of the lake. Okay, so we've got the clubhouse. That's the golf club. Fantastic venue. Anybody what's not been, you need to check this venue out. Okay, you've then got a big bay there. This is all unpegged. Okay, so that goes round to a bit of a point there, and then that cuts back where there is the famous, if you can see this, peg 124. Dave Swain drew that peg, but I've got to point out that all these pegs here had been fished the night before by carp anglers, specimen carp anglers, and they caught loads. You never really know what kind of effect that has on your match, but anyway, so this bay then goes round here down into a bottom corner, and then this comes right up what they call the river bank, because there's a river that runs behind you. Okay, so coming along here, this goes right the way along here, if you can see it all right on here, which I don't know if you can. Goes right along here, it comes round to a bit of a bend there, and that goes round here, or about here should I say, is an island. Okay, but But what you've also got is one of the greens. One of the holes is actually on an island, which is here, and across to that island is a bridge. Okay, so that's a bridge. Peg 1 is here, okay, and it runs up going this way. Okay, so peg 1. Peg 4 was the end peg of the match. There was somebody on that peg called Steve Ringer. Peg 12 was about there, and that was somebody called, if I spelt it right, Rob Wotton. Okay, so I drew peg 25, which was about here. Me. There you go. Okay, so the two main guys for me to watch in this section, bearing in mind to qualify for this final you've got to win the 20 peg zone. So it actually ran from down at this end with Steve, who was on the end on peg 4, right up to peg 39, and I think that may have been Glenn Lawrence. These were the two key lads to watch in my opinion, because of the pegs that they're drawn and the way that they fish. So I'm here. The other lad I need to mention is Tom Scorley, and I don't know if you're going to see all this on this camera because of where it is. It was on peg 37, which was there. 37 was right on the point edge of this island, and that was Tom Scorley. Okay, as it panned out, start of the match was hard. I found a nice bit of gravel at 55 metres, nice bit of gravel, and fished a method over that for the first 90 minutes. In my opinion, that was too long, and a lot of other people have said that as well, but I knew that Rob had caught some fish. Rob caught, and I think it was 6 carp in the first hour and a half, maybe 6 carp, and I believe he was casting to the edge of that island. I think that's right, Rob, with a method I assume. So 6 early carp. Steve was struggling. Steve was on 1 in that period, from what I was led to believe. I was on 0. Didn't catch anything on that long line. Complete waste of time. So what we then heard was Rob was slowing down. His fish had slowed down a little bit. We'd heard it 45 to 50 pound. So what happened then was I didn't want to stay on that line any longer. I just didn't feel a carp was coming. There were no carp caught around me. I think there was one F1 on my left, one on my right. It was just kind of going nowhere. There were no carp there. We knew we were chasing 50 pound ish because we heard Rob was in front. So I switched to my skimmer approach. I'd fed a line at 18 metres for no other reason than it just felt the right distance. I'd heard that pole weights had been accumulated there on the Wednesday before the match, so I put my line in at 18 metres, and when I went on that I fed it at the start with 6 feederfuls, 5 hole high cages of feed, chopped worm, dead maggot, and when I went on it after 90 minutes it never moved. I never had a sign on it. I had 5 casts on it before I got a bite. When I got a bite it was only a small skimmer. Over the course of the next 20 minutes I kind of played around with feed and just kind of had a look at what sort of response I was getting. I was chasing away. I was chasing 50 pound, and usually to get that, you know, if you're not catching the big fish, the big skimmers and bream, you need to catch lots of small fish. So I kind of forced it. I forced the peg after 2 hours. It brought fish in, but it brought too many in. I started getting liners and all sorts of problems. I started just by changing the size of the feeder, the consistency of my groundbait mix, and the length of the tail that I was using, the hook length. All that changed. I even altered the way I was setting my tip and reverted to slack lining and that sort of thing. And all these little things gradually caught me some fish. What happened then was Rob had slowed down. We then heard Steve had started catching about 2 hours in. I think it was Steve, if that's right. Steve was casting in this period 84 metres right up to that bridge. And obviously he's got some space here as well, which I believe, if I'm right in what I've heard, is he actually went down this died after some period of time. I don't know if it's going into the last hour. He's put some feed down the edge and he's caught 10 or 20 pound late on down his margin, which, you know, is testament to Steve's just kind of fishing around for fish really, instead of just flogging one line that's died on him. So as it turned out, as a lot of you know, Steve went on to win the match. Rob Wotton ended up second by about £2, which was really unlucky for that to happen to Rob, especially as he didn't catch in the last 2 hours. I stuck on that 18 metre line, and I just kind of worked a few things out, catching the skimmers and bream. I actually ended up with £65 of skimmers. That's it, all skimmers fantastic days fishing, and I've done a lot of fishing like that on there that a lot of you will know about, and I'm learning more every time I go. And I honestly think, I'm sticking my neck out here, there was £80 there to be caught. I haven't caught anything in the first 90 minutes, but I honestly think if my feeding had been right, if I'd worked all those things out a little bit quicker, there was definitely £80 there. And I can honestly see, I'm sticking my neck out again, those skimmers and bream in there becoming even increasingly more important on that venue, because they're getting bigger. There are ways of catching the bigger fish, and there are so many in there, and they're quite widely spread. I'm not saying they're everywhere, but they are a lot more predictable to catch than the carp are. And I think if they keep growing as they are, and the number of them, you know, you're going to be looking at targeting £100 of them from a lot of the areas on the lake. And I think we're going to see more anglers targeting them, because, you know, the carp are that unpredictable, especially if it was a hot sunny day and no wind. I think they're, you know, vital fish to learn how to catch. But anyway, I'm rambling. What was noticeable was, as the sun came up and it went calmer, Rob stopped catching. The wind was blowing in that direction, I believe, to start with, into that. But as it got hotter towards the middle of the match, Rob stopped catching. Steve started catching. Now, what we also know is, first in match, second in match. Third in match was Mr. Granger over here, 90 odd peg. And I believe he was opposite the island, but I believe he caught carp over towards the island. Now, Tom Scully had two fish for £34, great big carp they were, near the island. Now there's trees around this island, which means shade, and there's also shade around the bridge there. We had carp in front of us for a lot of the last 2 hours, but they were just cruising about on the top. Pellet waggler wasn't allowed, so obviously it didn't suit a feeder approach. Did those carp show where they did? Because they got into that shade, the shade of the bridge and the trees here. And obviously there was some fish caught around this island, which is one of the best looking islands in the country, but it's so deceiving, it very rarely produces. Had those carp seeked out the shade? Is that why Robert stopped catching? Because there's nothing there? We don't know, we'll never know, but that's my opinion. I think that could be, you know, very well what's happened. Anyway, I finished up third in the zone, fifth in the match. Nice to frame again. I framed in, not the last one, but the one before, which was great, but I didn't qualify. That's what it's all about. I need to win that 20 pegs. So I've had a second in zone, I've had a third in zone now, but I'm hoping I'm not throwing chances away. But anyway, the next one's in 2 weeks' time, Ferry Meadows. I know a lot of you are going to be there, it'd be great to see you. So sorry there's no live match footage, but hopefully that just gives you a bit of a rundown on how it went. Well, I've had another great response to the coaching days. I mean, I know I call them coaching days, but they're not really that. They're just kind of fishing days where, you know, I can get a chance to meet you guys. You can have a look at the kit that I use. You can have a look at the way I do things and the way that I've learnt how to do things from some of the best anglers in the world, really, because I've been so fortunate to be in that position. And, you know, I keep saying it, but that's just because I want people to understand that, you know, I don't work in angling. You know, I work Monday to Friday, not in fishing. Hopefully one day that might happen. I don't know, who knows where all this will lead, I don't know, but that means that all my weekend days are the days when I can do those sorts of sessions, and that obviously means as long as it doesn't clash with my matches, because that's when my matches are. So what I've done, just to show a bit of commitment, is I put a week to one side. You see, the money that I get for those sessions really goes back into this channel. You know, it doesn't go on anything else. It goes into investing in, you know, better camera equipment, better software, just so I can bring more videos like this to you and spend more time on the bank. And so what I've done is, just to show a bit of commitment to you, is I put a week to one side. Now that week is July the 17th. Okay, that is a Monday, and that week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that week I booked off from work. Okay, so there are 5 weekdays there that I could fit in fishing days for whoever's interested. If you're not interested, it doesn't matter. If we don't fill them, I'll just go to work on those days. But that's just, it's the best week I can actually do that. So if there's anybody out there wanting these sessions that I haven't been able to fit in around work and stuff, just, you know, just comment below. I'll have to do it first come first served if anybody's interested. If not, it doesn't matter. You know, I'll either go fishing or I'll just go to work. But it's just, so, you know, there are 5 days there, weekdays, that hopefully might be of interest to one or two of you. So yeah, I'm not going to ramble anymore. What I've got to say is a huge, massive well done to the qualifiers of the Feeder Masters. You know, it's great to see John Driscoll there again to defend his title. Well done, John, mate. I know you watch his videos, fantastic. Mr. Granger, who's always smiling every time I see him, and of course Mr. Ringer. I've got a copy of a couple of weigh sheets. I'll put them on straight after this for you, and the overall result, so you can see that. But yeah, massive well done to you lads. Hopefully I'm going to be fishing against you if I don't keep missing chances. So yeah, massive well done. A great match, great event, and a great venue. Everyone knows what I think about Barston. So now next weekend, just to let you all know, it's Friday tomorrow. This weekend is all about Feeder Masters again, but it's the Super League, the team competition. It's the first ever round on Sunday. Our team, myself, Steve Whitfield, Wayne Bartholomew and Gareth Lambert will be competing at Southfield Reservoir against the other 14 teams from all over the country, some of the biggest names in the game, and it's a venue we know well. And yeah, we're confident. We've got to be confident. We hope the draw's going to be kind to us, and we'll be doing our best to win the whole event, never mind just on Sunday. So it'd be great to see some of you there at the weekend. If not, after that, Ferry Meadows, week on Sunday. That's my next Feeder Masters qualifier for myself. Going to be a drawbag job, but I'll think more about that next week. Just got to get this weekend out of the way. So thanks again for watching, really appreciate it. Thanks for all the messages. 17th of July is that coaching week, if you want to call it that. Just comment below if you're interested, and I'll put the link below as well for you, which is a link to the website, just telling you what those days involve. So you don't even have to get in touch with me if you don't want. Just click on that link, it'll tell you what it all is, and if you are interested, just send me a message. Thanks for watching, really appreciate it, and everything's coming together really nicely, and there's loads of videos coming, so please subscribe if you haven't done already. That'll keep you in the loop with everything. So have a great weekend. It's Friday tomorrow. Fantastic weekend, everybody. I hope to see some of you on the bank. If not, just empty it, bag up wherever you're going, and I'll see you all next week.